What is up, Bears fans? Welcome to the Bears Huddle podcast, your UK take on all things Chicago Bears. Guys, we have got some breaking and incredible news coming out of Chicago tonight. News that I don't think anyone will have ever expected. I think news that is going to rapidly alter the way the Bears approach this offseason, at least to begin with. News that is genuinely shocking, genuinely just unbelievably shocking news, and that is that Pro Bowl center, starting center, a guy who signed a 3-year, $42 million deal last offseason, Drew Dalman, is walking away from the game at 27 years old. He is retiring, and that is according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, very reliable source. Of course, if it's coming from Schefter or Rappaport or Pelissero, you know that there is some truth in it, or at least there is a lot of truth in it. And I'm just genuinely gobsmacked by this decision, genuinely lost for words on this one. Losing Drew Dalman is huge. It is massive. Dalman was a massive part of what was successful at our offensive line last year. And if you look at the situation going into this offseason, it was all about rebuilding the defense. It was about getting an edge rusher. It was about restocking the safety room. It was about finding a left tackle. Dan Rauscher, talking the other day, spoke about the offensive line in glowing terms. He spoke about, the fact we have pretty much got four out of our 5 guys. It's just a case of, going and finding that left tackle for the new season. Tooney, Dalman, Jackson, and Wright, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal last season. And Dalman, and the relationship between Dalman and Williams was excellent last year as well. And you know that a center and his quarterback have to have an excellent relationship. Dalman was a big part of being the anchor. He was a big part of leading that offensive line. He was a big part of what made the run attack successful, the blocking, opening those lanes. Dalman was huge in that. And Dalman was a massive piece of last offseason and bringing him in. And his retirement is just unbelievable. It is genuinely unbelievable that this guy has decided to turn his back on the game at such a young age. Now, I think, when the truth comes out about this one, it's going to be somewhere around the injury situation. He's a guy who's suffered from a few injuries in the past. Maybe he's decided that he just doesn't want to put his health on the line anymore and wants to spend time with his family. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is that he's going to go, but it is genuinely shocking news. Look, we'll talk about what the Bears do in a moment and the impact this is going to have. I suppose, look, if you're going to be flippant about this, there is one advantage to this, and it does mean the Bears are now under the cap by $1.3 million. That is the only benefit to this one. Drew Dalman's retirement will mean that the Bears get a decent amount of cap space, at least to start with, before any trades or releases or restructures. Dalman was prorated to receive $4 million in signing bonuses between the 2026-2027 season, and he which will count against the cap for the Bears. His retirement, though, means we can void the $9.5 million in guaranteed money that would have made up most of his $14 million cap hit. It still remains to be seen, though, how much of the bonuses we can get back, but it's thought that this move is going to relieve around $10 million in cap space for the Bears, meaning, according to Spotrac tonight, where the Bears are $1,399,651 under the NFL's salary cap. But on the negative side, it means that the Bears need a starting center, not a backup center. A top-class starting center to come in and replace Drew Dalman. You can't go from having that offensive line that was a big part of why the offense was successful last year and downgrading it, which, is going to be hard when Drew Dalman is one of the best centers in the NFL. Now, there's 2 options, obviously. One is to sign a veteran in free agency. The other, of course, is to go and draft a rookie. Now, look, the problem with rookies is, as good as they are, and this year's draft class are actually quite deep in the center, can they be plug-and-play starters from day one in the NFL? That is the question. If it is the Bears opt for a veteran, then you're looking at how much is it going to cost? And with the cap not being great, with the D-line needing a restock, with the edge rusher position looking at, with the safety room needing restocking, how much can you afford to spend on a free agent? Now, according to sources with the NFL Network, the Bears have already started to look now. Ravens apparently have not opted to exercise the fifth-year option for Tyler Linderbaum, making him an impending free agent, although the reason then they're not extending Linderbaum was because his contract was too expensive, which may put the Bears off going for someone like Tyler Linderbaum. The other guy that he's been looked at, and apparently according to NFL Network, the Bears are bringing this guy in for a visit, is the former Washington Commanders center Tyler Biadasz, who is being released by the Commanders, so obviously is not under contract, would be a complete free agent. He apparently, according to NFL Network, is being brought in for a visit by the Bears. So look, that's one possibility, certainly, but are either of them on the same level as Drew Dalman? That's the key question there, and it's also then getting that unit back together, giving them time to gel again, giving them time to get back to where they were. Now, yes, Dan Rauscher is still there. He's one of the best NFL O-line coaches in the business, which will certainly help matters, but look, it's a big ask. Now, the other option, of course, is to draft a rookie. As I've said, the draft class is quite deep in the center position. The top three names are Auburn's Connor Lew, Iowa's Logan Jones, and Florida's Jake Slaughter. Logan Jones is probably the standout name of the three of them. Now, he ran a very impressive 40 time, but look, let's face it, the ability to run fast in a straight line is not really something an O-lineman needs to do. But according to Pro Football Focus, Jones allowed just 1 sack and 2 quarterback pressures in his last 2 seasons at Iowa, which is pretty good. And the Hawkeyes won the Joe Moore Award in the 2025 season for having the college football's best offensive line. And Logan Jones was a massive, massive reason why that happened. It is a risk drafting a rookie, of course. It is looking at his potential and hoping that the body of work that he's got from college is transferable to the pros, which is not always the case. The step up between college football and the NFL is huge. This is a really difficult position for the Bears now, because not only do we need a new centre, we also need obviously that left tackle situation with obviously Ozzie been out for the massive part of next season. So, that whole left-hand side of the line now, you're looking at the fact that you've just got Joe Tooney there now. There's no left tackle, there's Joe Tooney, there's no centre. It is a massive, massive change for the Bears, and it is a big, big headache for Ben Johnson, for Ryan Poles, that they probably didn't need or want going into the draft, going into free agency. Like I said, with all the other priorities there are out there, the D-line, the edge, the safety room, possibly some linebackers as well if Tremaine Edmonds is traded, which is looking increasingly likely. Losing Drew Dalman is massive. It is huge. And, you can't underestimate the fact that you're also taking a leader out of the line, you're taking the anchor out of the line. It's making a fundamental change to an offense that was moving forward, an offense that was progressing at a very, very rapid rate of knots, and was probably one of the best offenses in the NFC, and probably moving towards being one of the best offenses in the NFL last year. And certainly that line was one of the best as well. Now, it means that whoever comes in has got to find time to gel, to work together. It means that whoever comes in has a really, high bar to aim for, and you've got to deal with that pressure straight away. So not ideal news tonight, not good news at all for the Bears. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm shocked, genuinely shocked. Bear down.